Hi everyone, welcome to Magic Carpet Life, your weekly wonder trip into the infinite beauty of who you are. I'm Tiffany Josephs, your host and guide, and I am here to romance the world to a higher love. Why are you here? Have you thought about it? Have you written it down? Have you shouted it from the rooftops? This is your time. The world has never been more ready to receive your unique magic, and you can think of me as your cosmic cheerleader on your path to discovering just how true that is. So thank you for joining us, and let's get started. Hi. I have with me a very special, beautiful woman named Suzanne Blons, and I could sing a song, I could do a dance, I could do a lot of things to announce you and present you. But what I'm going to do is start with your professional bio.
Okay.
Suzanne is a very dear personal friend of mine. So I'm going to stick with the script to start and let you know a little bit about her professionally before I tell you a little bit more personally. So here we go. Suzanne Blons
Go ahead.
is a former international model with Elite Modeling Agency
Long time ago.
and performed as the Revlon Charlie Girl in the 1980s for the well-known fragrance. Having loved the creativity and collaborative spirit of working behind the scenes in media, Suzanne turned to professional makeup and has worked with such luminaries as Hillary Clinton, Al Gore. I love how Al's in there as a luminary.
I know. Well, I had to put him in the whole, sandwich, so, yeah.
He is a profound thought leader.
He is
yes,
a profound,
yes.
thank you, that's a good word.
Barbara Bush and Peyton Manning. After nearly 30 years honing in on her craft, Suzanne started a YouTube channel titled The Beauty Shaman, where she dishes on makeup, style, wellness, and transformation. Currently, Suzanne just finished her book, Taking Off the Mask, A Journey Through Modeling, Makeup, and Mayhem, which details her experience with high-level clients and finally taking off the superficial mask of our culture's idea of beauty and focusing on the heart.
Yes.
So, this is why you are here,
Yes.
because this is what you do, and this is who you are.
Yeah.
I have had the pleasure of knowing you. Do we really want to say?
We're going to say.
We just met.
I know, we're both in our 20s still.
We're just
kinda crazy.
We're whippersnappers.
Yeah.
Let's take a drink. Let's
Okay.
do our
Do
cheers.
a coffee, do cheers. Yay. King.
You probably got right on the microphone.
It's okay.
This is our talk show.
Yeah. You have to, really slurp it, right? Yeah.
So I met you a little while back.
Yeah.
Let's just say when I first started adulting.
Yes.
And here's my first impression of you.
Okay.
You were this provocative, mysterious, gorgeous apparition that had moved down the auditorium, whatever that was. I think it was a high school we were in, and there was this auditorium. I think
Yeah.
it was at a church service.
Yeah.
So Suzanne and I used to be church ladies.
We did. Yes.
And that's another
Very
story for
scary.
another day.
Very scary.
We
time.
were magical church ladies. The time in it was one of those, well, like I said, another story for another time.
A whole another episode, yes.
Another, maybe second book.
Okay, okay.
Because that one deserves, like with any forest,
Yeah.
right? Walking through forest times in our life, that deserves a good story, and there is one for that. But I want to hear the story, and I want to share the story with all of you listening about the book. This is a big deal. This
Yeah.
memoir is done. It's
done.
off. It's packaged, red bow, and now what's happening with it?
So, yes, it's done, and I'm currently looking for an agent or a publisher.
Okay,
So,
so agent,
yes,
publisher, if
yes.
you're watching or listening,
Yay!
Suzanne Blons.
Yes, but it's a memoir, and it's actually I had to write it through all 3 times in order to get it right, because it's very hard if you've never written a book before to suddenly kind of out
Yes.
what is it, a 200-page book. And so I've rewritten the whole thing 3 times. So when the 3rd time I hired a writing coach, Brooke Warner, and she coached me through it. So very grateful for that, because it was, it's just huge to write a book like that.
So 3 times, why 3 times? What is different in the final from the first? The title, for one.
The title is different, and plus, I think the thing I struggled with the most was not content. Like, I knew the content, it's just I didn't know how to put it in a right framework, because it basically, it's a memoir, so it's linear. It's fairly linear, and I had tons of content, and I didn't know how to condense it, and so I kept restructuring, and then I'd restructure, and I just could not figure out the structure. That was my biggest challenge. Mm-hmm. And so she basically read the document, and said, you have to do a braided narrative. And so then I redid the whole restructured it, and then we went and rewrote it. But basically the book had already been written, so I just had to redo those sections that were in the braided narrative. So that it's a whole nother field with writing, and because I'm not a super experienced writer, I had to really rely on her. But I'm super happy with it. I mean, it turned out so great, and I read it, I think, oh my God, did I write that? It's really,
I love
it's very
that.
cool.
A creation that came from the innermost places.
It does, yes. And my goal in writing it was, I'm going to be just completely truthful. Just take off the mask, be really truthful about what it's like to live your life, which I think many of us are aware of this, but live your life with a mask on, like constantly putting out what we want people to see, but underneath we're sort of living in this fear, which is how people live generally.
Of course.
And so it's going through, how do you take that off? But I come from a very extreme example, which is modeling, and very high level kind of haute couture stuff, where you're never thin enough, you're never beautiful enough. And then getting into makeup, where it's all about presentation. So, and then coming out of that and going, no, it's not about any of that stuff. It's about being who you are. So I think that perspective is very unusual.
Suzanne, you are one of the hardest workers that I know. And what I love about that is that you work hard because you're devoted to this. You're devoted to this path of waking up. And that's, if I were to describe you, well, I'm describing you to all these people listening, but even just casually, telling, oh, you have to meet my friend Suzanne. She is devoted to this work. And you're also one of the funniest people that I know. You have a humor that I think is really spotlighted in this book. You are able to be funny and humorous with these, what are the 3 words you say? Modeling, makeup, and mayhem.
Yeah.
Tell me about the mayhem.
Oh, I moved to Europe when I was 16 years old to model. So I just kind of dabbled, like, okay, let's try to experiment with life here.
Yes.
So I have some really good stories about dating wealthy Italian playboys, and
okay, tell me one story about that. Tell me about the first Playboy, because you said plural. There were plural Playboys.
But I actually, there was mainly one. There's one that I talk about in the book, and he's kind of the key,
Okay, good.
key
So
Playboy.
he made it in the book.
He made it in the book.
So
his name is Marco. Yeah, and I can't remember his last name, which is probably a good thing, because I don't want to know what he's doing right now. But no, we went out on a date. He asked me out on a date, and I went, and he's this very attractive Italian man, and we went out, and while we're driving to the restaurant, he had a driver and this big heavy car, and we're driving in this car, and I was like, why is the car so heavy?
Do you mean like Dick Tracy heavy? Like tell me, what does that mean, a heavy? Like armored car?
Like armored car.
Okay.
Like it felt like, in Italy, right, everything, because this is in Milan, like cars are really small and they're lightweight and they're quick. And, it's not like America where we drive kind of these monstrosities.
Sure,
and think
everybody
it's cool,
has a Suburban, yeah.
So it's not like that. And so I was in this huge, heavy car, and it was really strange. And I looked over at him and I said, why is your car so heavy? And he said, oh, I don't know the word in English. And he kind of was like, I don't know. Oh, he said, it's because in case the bullets come in. And I was like, what are you talking about?
And you're how old?
What are you talking about? I was 16 years old.
Yeah, you're not even legal.
I'm not even legal.
The States.
And
yeah.
I was like, I was so horrified. And I was like, what? Is somebody going to try to shoot us? And he said, well, I hope not, And by then I was starting to go, oh, no, why am I doing this? Like, why am I on this date with this guy? And then we get to the restaurant, and I was dead silent because I was so freaked out at that point. And plus, then the driver gets out. And so we sat down, and he stands in the corner in the restaurant. And he's a big guy, like what you see in the movie, like the big guy with a weapon hiding beneath his jacket, right? And so we're sitting, eating. And I kept looking at this guy, and I said, Marco, why is that guy, our driver, in the corner like that? And he was like, he kind of looked at me, and he said, all right. He said, my family's the 3rd richest family in Italy. And so sometimes bad things happen, so I have a bodyguard and I have an armored car.
Wow.
And I was like...
And that night you had a bodyguard.
And I was like, okay, I think this is our last date. I didn't say that. Well, I actually went out with him a couple more times, which shows how naive and stupid I was. But he was very sweet, and he was very genuine, and he was like, you know, whatever you're comfortable with. Like, he didn't push himself on me. He was actually, like, he knew how to play it, basically.
Sure.
You know, and then we went out a few more times, and I went away with him for a weekend to St. Moritz, where they had a house in St. Moritz. They had a yacht in Portofino. You know, this is a very, very wealthy family. And then in one of them, I was like, okay, I think I'm officially done here. Like, this has gotten to be too much because of just their lifestyle and what he was like. He was kind of a jerk, of course. And so I was like, okay, I'm checking out here. So I stopped. But then he kind of kept calling and pursuing. And I would just like lie as to where I was. And, you know, it was just very,
International
very freaky.
model. You're in China.
I was all over the place. And I would lie. Oh, I'm so please, let's go away.
Luckily, this was before Facebook.
This is before, yes. So hopefully, I haven't heard from him in years, so I'm very happy about that. But, you know, that was sort of a scary thing. And I kept thinking mafia, you know, I'm like, this guy's in the mafia, obviously. So, yeah.
Okay, so mayhem.
Mayhem. Lots of mayhem.
Although all of us have secret fantasies
Yes.
of like going out with rich Italian men and having bodyguards.
Yes,
you
yes.
took care of that before you even turned 20.
Right, yes.
So when did you get out of modeling? That's a story.
Yeah, I got out of modeling when I was about 19. About around 19, 20, I got out because I just hit burnout. I think that was, you know, I think the last straw was I shot the Charlie Girl ads actually with a photographer named Patrick de Marchelier, who's a very, very famous international fashion photographer. And
He should be with that last name.
I know. He's really one of the best in the world. I don't know if he's older now. I don't know I'm sure he's still working. But in any case, I did the Charlie Girl ads with Revlon. And he was so rude to me. And like he walked into the makeup room when I was getting my makeup done. And he said to the makeup artist, put a lot of makeup on her.
Okay.
Not, wow, gorgeous, darling.
Not
You know,
just
they're
'cause
supposed
this was
to
the
like,
80s.
right. They're supposed to sort of fawn on you and make you feel good because you have to present yourself. You have to get in front of the camera. But instead, he insulted me. And then I just sat there and thought, why am I doing this? I don't have to do this anymore. And then I started really praying to find a way out. And so I ended up moving to London with Jackie, my best friend Jackie. And she was
Also
a
a
model
model.
as well, also a model. We're still best friends 35 years later. And that's when we joined the church. But we went back to college too, which I really wanted to do. I always wanted to do, I'm more of kind of an intellectual type. I like to write, I like to think, you know, I'm kind of that type. So I really wanted to pursue that. And so I did. I went and got, and you know, I have an English degree and just did other things. But that's when the church kind of stepped in. So.
And that was a period, let's talk just again chronologically, that was a period of your life, a dozen years or so?
I was involved in the church for 15 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, a handful.
Yeah, but at 12 years, I went, you know, I think this place is cracked. Like, there was like, you know.
Yeah, I'm kind of done here.
I'm kind of done, but I got to stay
Saturated.
in it because I've married into it. I'm,
Sure.
you know, so really entrenched, you know, but I really started pulling back. And at 15 years, I think we both, my then husband and I, were done. We stopped going, so, yeah.
There was a quote I shared with you yesterday.
Yes, that was a great quote.
And I want to read it. Oh, yes. So John Holt,
Yes.
whoever John Holt is,
Yes.
thank you for saying this and having it recorded in the archives of quotes. He said, we learn something by doing it. There is no other way.
That's right.
So the mayhem of your childhood, which
Right.
is like part one in your book, I'm sure you talk a little bit about
Talk
that.
about
The mayhem of all of our childhoods, my God. But that piece, and then the modeling, and then this, shall we say, charismatic church?
Yes.
Charismatic and lively, and all kinds of soul lessons involved in that. What would you say was the thing you are most grateful for at this point in your life, that you did it and you have your badge, you have your karmic trophy
Yeah.
to say, oh, I did it and I'm done and I learned? What was that thing of any of those experiences, your collection?
You know, I just look back and I'm so grateful for kind of the whole egg basket. You know, like I look back at the modeling and at even involvement in the church, and then my makeup career and marriage, which is now divorce. And I look at all of it and I think I am so incredibly grateful. And just because of all the lessons, right? Like what this has done to help me overcome what I needed to, because I believe that you're handed what you need in order to grow. Like that's what whatever you have in your lap is what you're supposed to have. And that's what you're meant to move beyond. And so I'm very grateful for it. And the church, I'm super grateful for. I don't have regrets around that at all because of, I think I did the religious thing so fully and so completely. And that's one thing about, I think you're like this too. Like I'm very wholehearted when I do something.
Oh God, yes.
I am hook, line, and sinker 100%. If it's a relationship, I am like 100% there. There's no middle ground with me.
It's a very feminine quality.
Is it? Yeah.
It's the feminine
it is
comes
the feminine.
in and just wants to get washed away in the experience of it.
Right. And so I definitely did the church. And so now I can sit where I am with, being kind of nondescript about my belief system. It's more like, I'm here to experience the great mystery of life. And, it's taking me on all sorts of interesting tangents. And I love that. And I love studying it. And I'm, very into kind of ancient spirituality. And I think I'm very grateful because I can do that wholeheartedly, knowing I don't have doubts anymore about religion. And religion is very powerful and beautiful and can be so amazing. But we were in a very toxic an unhealthy aspect of it. And so, without throwing the baby out with the bathwater, there's some good aspects to that. So I try to take that into my current life, and I'm super, I'm super grateful for it. So
yeah, and I was sharing this with you. We went on a spa date. Was it just last week?
God, I think so.
We were on a rooftop. It's a tough life.
It's a tough.
It's a tough life. Well, we were celebrating because we have a third. We have the Trinity. Yes. We have another friend from that period that well, you've known her longer than I have known her. You guys have an even longer friendship. But still, about 18 years, the three of us had known each other. And anyway, she is moving to out of state. And so we had this gathering at the Four Seasons here in Denver. And we were sitting in the pool or sitting in the hot tub. And I looked at you. And I was really overcome with emotion because of the mirroring, right? What I see in you, I see myself in you, and how we do this with each other, and in friendships, especially when you share the journey together.
Right.
And I was emotional about seeing you on stage a couple weeks ago at an event in town, and you were sharing your story in such a pure, honest way, and it occurred to me just how healed you were. And I was very proud of that. But obviously it stirred in me because I thought, yes, good job, Tiffany. You're healed too. Good, bravo for the healing. Right. And I'd love to hear from you not what initiated that, because I think, we all know it's like the breakdowns initiate the breakthroughs. But
I can say what initiated it.
Yeah,
actually.
okay. So
I do have a story around that. So there definitely was a moment, and actually my astrologer, who we share this great astrologer, Robert Sabella, who said, when I originally first talked to him, he said, "Wow, you had a complete 360, like you completely turned things around at this time." And I was like, yes, that's exactly what happened. And we were living in Singapore. My then husband was working for the government. And I had two small children. They were both in preschool, elementary school. And it was like all of a sudden somebody took the lid off of my head is how it felt.
Wow.
Or like somebody hit me with a fairy wand, one or the other.
I like the fairy wand.
The fairy wand is really good. And I just started looking around. I remember looking around my house going, this isn't my house. And wow. I didn't create this. This isn't what I'm meant to be doing. This isn't who I am. What am I doing? I'm living a life that is not my life. I didn't actually sit down and make this choice. Obviously, I did by lack of choice, but I made it. But I haven't actually sat and thought, what do I want? Who am I? And it was such an interesting time. And I started walking. So I was lucky in that both my kids...
Like Forrest Gump walk?
Forrest Gump, that's right.
Walk to America?
That's right.
Singapore.
So I started there was a field, believe it or not, in Singapore, which is a heavily built up city. But there was a field, an unbuilt up field right around the corner from where I lived. And so I would go every morning to this field and I would just walk. And I started asking outside of religion, I started asking kind of the universe. So I sort of broadened out and said, what do I need to know? And holy cow, it was almost like the earth started shaking. And that was it was really intense. And I ended up hiring a life coach because I was like, I can't make sense of this.
Yeah, you were overwhelmed.
I was
by the
overwhelmed. And
possibilities.
plus, a lot of spiritual things started opening up for me. I started seeing things I'd never seen before.
Yeah.
It was very scary, actually, a lot of that. And plus, I was looking at my then husband going, why are we married? We shouldn't even be married. We're like totally not right for each other. This is a very imbalanced relationship. And I have agreed to things that I actually don't agree with. So I started pulling back a lot and going in another direction, which eventually really ended the relationship. But I have a great relationship with him now. So I'm very, very appreciative of that we've been able to move kind of beyond all of that. He's a good egg. But at the time, it was very earth-shattering. And so that was kind of the start. And I started reading. I got into Louise Hay, who I still think is an amazing way to start with all this. You Can Heal Your Life. And then, and my life coach then was just kind of like started asking me questions that I felt like I should know the answer to this. I should know what nourishes me. I have no idea what nourishes me. Yeah. I should love who I am. I don't love who I am. It was really crazy. And so I just started working, and that was really the start of it. So
what was happening in your body through that time? How did your body begin to respond to the fear and the shift?
Right. Well, I developed irritable bowel syndrome.
Wow. So in your guts is where you...
My guts. And it was all in my guts because your guts are like processing life, right? And that's why Louise Hay meant so much to me, because she kind of clued me in that that's what I was doing. And I started holding, right? Because I was like, I'm about to lose everything. I'm about to walk out.
God, right? That root.
Yeah. I'm walking out on my life where I was able to be a stay-at-home mom. We traveled all over the world because he, had a career that, we were able to travel. So you kept the modeling
lifestyle without the
Oh my God. So I was living in like this beautiful home. I was like, am I insane if I lost all my marbles?
Can I make this work? Yeah.
So I really had a lot of tension around that. And I thought, if I walk out on this, I'm back to square one because I've given up my business, So it was a very scary time. So my body really reacted to that. I lost a ton of weight. I mean, I was very, very thin. And but the good news is that, slowly but surely rebuilt and learned to let go and learn to trust and, learn all that stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, you really had to learn or relearn what you didn't have the resources and tools in your childhood, and then, modeling, and then in religion, you didn't quite have the healthiest modeling in religion experience.
Exactly. Yeah.
So that's interesting. When you were talking about the field, I got emotional because I thought about when Rumi talks about that field.
Yes, I love Rumi. It's my
Beyond right doing and wrong-doing.
Yes, there is a field.
I'll meet you there.
Yes.
And I've had those fields in my life. Yours was a physical one that you stood before, and you saw all of these possibilities of who you could become. What was the secret desire? What was the seed during that time when you're like, oh my God, if I could do this, but then you like put it away because you're like, that's too big, I couldn't possibly. But then it wouldn't let you, you couldn't let it go.
Right.
Like, what was that?
Well, it was writing the book. And the book has been in my head since then. And I thought I really because I love writing and I love thinking, and I'm one of these people, I could be by myself for days and days and days and days and just be completely happy. Like, that's my happy place, is sitting in my computer writing and processing, and I rewrite things 50 times. I'm totally neurotic. And so I thought, this
perfect
is
for writers.
Perfect for writers. So I really wanted to do that, but I thought, are you insane? You can't write a book. And so that's when I kind of started on it. And when I came back to the United States, that's when I started like writing and rewriting and reprocessing. And so it was, but it was the thing I couldn't let go of. And when I started working with this writing coach, she said, why are you doing this? Like, what's your motive? And I said, I can't not do it. I can't let go of this thing.
Wonderful answer.
Yeah. And she was like, great, then let's do it. And so, and I think because it's so difficult, you have to have your motives and the why of it all really sorted out. I mean, I think what you're doing too with your website and your Magic Carpet, you have to have the whys because it's too hard. It's too hard. You have to, it's not a moneymaker necessarily right away, right? These things take time, and books especially. Nobody knows if that's going to make me a drop.
Absolutely.
And I've had to put a lot of money into it. And so it's stepping out on that cliff saying, okay, I'm going to take this leap, even though, it's crazy. Like, I think since I left my marriage, I'm like, I think whatever screw was tight in my head has become undone.
Yeah.
And now it's like I've opened up to so many other things. But I can tell you, my life is so much fun, right?
Yes, it is.
I have a lot of fun. Yeah.
Absolutely. The way you have fun with the amount of work that you do is the most inspiring thing about you. You make work fun. So let's see. I had a thought there. And what do I want to ask you now about the book? Oh my God, yes. Can you share what the first title was? Because this is like, I love the title that you've gone with now because it speaks to the marketplace, right? It speaks to the reader.
Right.
But the first one was so provocative.
Right. And I'm actually, when I submit it to agents, I'm going to give a couple titles because I think I've had people have a lot of opinions about the first one, and it was The Makeup Artist Must Die, Tales from the Green Room. Because the makeup artist knows too much, right?
I am totally thinking Crypt Keeper.
Yeah,
when you say that, like Tales from the Crypt, like Tales from the Green Room.
Yeah. And I love that title, and I still would love for that to be the title, but the people have said don't put death in the title, don't, nobody knows what you're talking about, and so I've thought.
It's part of the business.
Yeah, it's part of the business of marketing, and I get that. I have a marketing guy now. I mean, I kind of get all that. So I'm not solid on the title, but the truth is the makeup artist does know too much because we're in the green room, we're in the makeup room with talent, and we hear everything. I mean, we're the ones who know everything. Yes. But it's also about the proverbial death of appearances. And the makeup artist has to die to the idea of, I'm going to create on you what you should look like, as opposed to I'm going to make you more of yourself, which is my direction now when I make people up. So anyway, that title totally makes sense to me, but we have to see if the marketplace is ready.
So now you're a stylist.
I'm
so you've
professional
written the
makeup
book.
artist, yeah.
You're a professional makeup artist. You work for a network here in town. And so you're still doing this because you love it.
I love it, yeah, and it's my bread and butter. I mean, it's funding all of my bad habits right now. You know what I mean? Like it's funding.
And I have to fund your YouTube channel. I was joking with you. I have spent so much money on the products that you have recommended. From whatever, you get it. It's like, it's candy.
Yeah,
you can't.
It is. It's very hard not to. And all my money goes towards the Beauty Shaman YouTube as well, because that's promoting my brand, and I'm going to use it to launch the book and do all that stuff. So it's a lot.
Why the Beauty Shaman?
So I did a lady's makeup named Cindy Dale. Have I told you this story? Cindy Dale. I love
Cindy Dale. Hi, Cindy Dale.
Hi, Cindy Dale. She's actually coming to town soon. So she's a psychic, and she's a phenomenal psychic. She's somebody who looks at you and just sees everything. She's probably one of the best I've ever talked to. And I make up a lot of psychics because of working at the network. So I don't know if we can say the name of it or not. Gaia TV.
Gaia.
So Cindy Dale was doing her makeup, and as I was doing her makeup, she was kind of studying me, and she goes, "Oh my God, I just got it. You're the Beauty Shaman." And I went, "Oh my God, that's it." And what's interesting is at the time I was reading a lot of books on shamanism, and I'm still very interested in shamanism, although I feel like it's kind of a broader scope now around lots of other modalities. But so I was like, that's it. And so it says everything I want to say, about what I'm bringing, because it's beauty, but it's with spirituality. So
it's beauty with. This isn't sexy, but it's with death.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, you are in the business of disclosure.
Right.
You are in the business of, tearing down, whether your title is going to be, Makeup Artist Must Die, or tearing off the mask. There's this quality about you, this fearlessness about you, that you go in and you speak truth. But you have had to become truth first. Right. Which we can't talk about transformation and death and truth and being reborn without talking about love. Right. Yes. And this is also something that you model for me as a friend, but also professionally in your speaking and the work that you do. You talk a lot about self-love. And I love for you to share your experience with that. What is how about a personal practice? Because you have a couple of these that are super, super yummy. Right. For things you can say to yourself or things that you can do to feel that self-love, bring love to your body.
So I think self-love, self-esteem, they're the same thing, has been a huge struggle for mine in my own experience. And there's lots of reasons for that, but it's really been a rough, something I've constantly been dealing with. And so apparently Robert Sabella, our great astrologer, says, I will get it. He's like, keep going. You have a point here that you actually do get it. I'm like, okay.
North Star.
We're working towards that North Star. But there's a couple things I do every single day to do with self-love. And one of them is I meditate every day. I'm a meditator. So I sit down for about 20, 30 minutes with my cup of tea and I meditate. And during the meditation, I ask the universe, whoever is listening,
Yeah.
to download self-love. Just give me that. Because I feel like it's something I never really developed. So it's something I have to constantly develop. And I know the universe can just give you stuff, right? So
Sure.
I pray for that every day. And then I also do a lot of inner child work. So during meditations, I imagine little Suzy.
As I sit up, like,
I know, right?
squirmy a little bit. Tell me more about
Tell
that.
me more about that. So little Suzy, I think it's great to get in touch with your inner child, because that for me is the key. Because a lot of times I think I feel really great today, and then I'll imagine her, and she's like lying on the floor, Like I just did this big photo shoot in Los Angeles, and one of the women who was, I can't really say much about it, but was there, didn't like me and was not pleasant to deal with.
Okay.
And so her view of me was very negative, which is always hard, right? When you're in a work situation and you're hired to go in.
And you're an empath and you're feeling it.
So I was feeling it. And so little Suzy was having a really hard time. But little Suzy's changed a lot. Now little Suzy runs around with a wand and she whacks people because she's kind of not subliminally angry, right? Because she'll go around and be like... So I kept having to send this woman love when I was working with her, like, send you love because you're driving me crazy. But looking at little Suzy, and then we got back and little Suzy was like, man, I just want to lie in a pool of like, I like to use color a lot. So violet, like violet fire is a great healer, or rainbow water coming all over. And so I've been doing a lot of meditations just around, her being healed and her feeling loved. Ruby is another great color. So I imagine a ruby blanket wrapped around little Suzy. And we sit together with the Empress in tarot, the Empress card, like the Empress wrapping her arms. So those are very healing. I do another thing where I look in the mirror and you touch your neck.
Yeah.
Which is the center of change in the body, is the throat, because it's your voice, right? And you look in the mirror and you say, I love you. And then you say your name, I love you, Tiffany. And you say it about 20 times. So doing this is still super powerful for me. Well, the first time I did it, I couldn't get through one sentence without crying. I mean, that's how kind of conflicted I was.
Was this when you were in Singapore?
This is when I was in Singapore. And now I can make it through all 20 without crying, which is great. Like it's really gone better. But I think what we do with self-esteem is that we try to talk ourselves into feeling good about ourselves, or we become very, very arrogant thinking, well, that's self-esteem. Well, no. Self-esteem is actually just like a magnetism. It's I'm great. I know I'm great because in my soul I'm great and I'm at peace with myself. And it's a peace and it's a centeredness. And so so that's what I really work on, because I think having self-esteem and staying humble and staying open, like that's, self-esteem is not being arrogant and thinking you're right all the time. That, we know that.
Sure.
But I think we don't understand it as women, and we're trying to figure it out. We've been so put down that we don't always understand, well, what does it mean then to actually be in your power and strength? And that's been a big question for me with my own role and with women too. Like, what does this look like, to come from this disempowered state that we've been treated and put down.
Yeah.
So then what does it look like? What does the opposite look like? So I'm still grappling with this, and I find it a fascinating subject. So self-esteem, again, it's just a key thing I work on every day. So.
And you are mother of
I'm a mama.
two teenage daughters.
Teenage daughters. Yeah, I have sole custody of 2 teenage daughters.
How has your transformation affected them? Because they've been with you, seen you, watched
the whole thing. Yeah.
Break down, break through.
Right. I think the thing that's been great is that maybe it's just where I sit, but that's helped them, I think, because there's no judgment there. It's just like my oldest daughter is gay. And so when she came out as gay, I was like so excited for her. Like there was no resistance, I think, to what they choose to be. And I think had I stayed in religion, there would have been an enormous amount of resistance there because of you're not meant to be gay. And even though I never bought into the fact that being gay was wrong or sinful or whatever, I've never actually bought that cookie. But if your kid is, they would have to hide basically because of all the judgment around them. And now Rachel can just be free and happy and, date girls and do whatever she wants, go to gay pride. I'm like, yay, have fun. Can I come? There's just this openness there. And then my other daughter is like me. She's very creative. And so she's going to just explore.
She can rock a red lip like you.
She can rock a red lip and she's just going to explore it. I think there's such an openness to exploration now and support. I think I can support in a way that I've never been able to support before because I was too busy trying to control. Well, you have to go down this road, as opposed to what road do you want to go down?
Sure.
You want to go down that road? Great, let's go down that road, So I think that's as a parent, that's super powerful to hold space like that for kids. So.
That's incredibly powerful. There's no way that you there's no way that your girls could go through what they're going through without you going through what you went through.
Right, exactly.
I think that's how it works.
It's how it works, yeah.
As a mom, I mean, everybody jokes, there's no book, there's no recipe.
No book. Yeah.
But the security that I can have to do this alignment,
Yeah.
to show up every day with my own practice and
Right.
my own means of connecting to my wholeness and
Right.
recalibrating to that instead of the crazy chaos of the world. To do that, I know that our kids are in our energy fields.
Right. Yeah.
Right? And our partners and people that we work with, people that we, correspond with, they are in our energy fields, and that's why this work is so important.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was writing about this or speaking about this yesterday. I was telling a story about my grandfather, and that's a longer story. You'll have to look at that and check that out on my Facebook. But what I was discovering in that story is I hear this loud banner cry of everybody wants to change the world. Mm-hmm. We're here to change the world. Be the change. Be the change. And of course, everybody's feeling transformation in their bones right now. Right. And people are waking up to that. And there's so much out there. There are so many teachers and, prophets of this new world movement. But to think, for me, to shift the conversation from being the change to more of that embodied, like what I see in your work and what I know to be true about you as a human and as a soul and form, is you embody this. And to me, that feels, there's a romance to it. And your work as the Beauty Shaman is really in this vibration too, because you work with beauty. You're constantly with these luminaries, whether it's at Gaia where you work, who are in that space, or you've done work with them in the past, in these other places you've done, but you're working with that as a modality. Right. So tell me about beauty as a modality. Like, why or how are you bringing that into your everyday?
So, the whole I talk a lot about the beauty industry on my own blog posts and stuff. It's because the beauty industry wants to make us feel ugly. Because if we don't feel attractive, or if we feel like we need to reach this level of perfection of appearance, then we'll buy more stuff, right? So it's all about buying stuff.
Consumerism.
It's consumerism. And so, how can I be in this industry where it's consumer driven and where women are sort of tortured? Do you know what I mean? Like, you're never thin enough, you're never whatever enough, and create something different out of that. Because I do love the creams and the, the stuff, and I love beauty, and I think women love to be beautiful. It's part of our femininity. It's part of all of that. But I think what I want to bring to that discussion is own who you are now, love who you are right now, and take care of yourself, because beauty is both inner and outer. And I think that's the big, a lot of times you hear those pithy little sayings, well, beauty's on the inside, and, love who you are now. Like, you hear kind of, and to me, those sound very pithy and very empty, because I think that's not how we feel.
You're not dealing.
You're not owning. You're not addressing the fact that it's inner and outer, and so you do want to take care of your physical body as a feminine act, of self-love and self-care. What I'm not for and supportive of is the perfectionism around it. And if I get this facelift or this tuck or this boob job or whatever, then I'm going to be beautiful. Well, that's just crap, right?
Yeah.
That's not true. Feel beautiful now. Take care of yourself now. Now, if somebody wants to go get work done as they love themselves, then great, go do it, knock yourself out. But I just feel like it's the energy behind it that really is the key component around it. Because the women sit in my makeup chair and they immediately start apologizing, like 100%. Oh, I didn't lose that last 5 pounds, or I've got these lines and wrinkles on my skin. You had a woman go on Monday who had very red skin, and she was just really panicked about her red skin. Now, all I have to do is use a green tint, and it's like, it's gone. Voila. She looked amazing, when I put her in front of the camera, but I thought she walked in with so much fear. Now, if a man walks in with red skin, there's like zero fear. He's like, yeah, try to do something with that, I mean, he doesn't care. Well, okay, they don't have all the feminine energy we do, but what I want to bring to that is a woman. I'd love to have a woman walk in and go, my skin's red. Hope you can help, but otherwise, here we go. Just kind of an openness and a self-acceptance, and
Yes.
but there is so much judgment on the outward, and that's what we're battling, is that judgment. And so you have to just really have kind of gonads, right? You kind of got to be super centered, and so that's what I kind of want to. That's what I want to promote. Yeah.
You do that really well, by the way. Your YouTube has inspired you. You're gaining a lot of momentum with this message, and I'm so excited for you. I think for me, I know this. I've experienced this.
Yes, you
I mean,
have.
we were doing
Absolutely.
a shoot the other day, and I prefaced this comment to the cameraman. I said, I'm going to say something really vain. And I said, something about my wrinkles,
Yeah.
can you make sure you don't catch my wrinkles in a certain light? And I'm like, what? And I knew it when I said it. It felt so heavy and sad.
Yeah.
But it's the script.
It's the script, yes. And I still carry that. I mean, I have a YouTube channel. I'll film myself, and when I'm editing, I'm like, oh my God.
Yes.
Why? What are you doing? And then I stop and I go, stop, shut up. But it's the script. Sorry, that was negative on myself, but you know what I mean?
Yes,
we go through
course.
this process.
This is the chatter.
It's
and
the
it
chatter.
is. And I love that you have even these practices like touching your throat and saying, I love you. And it's almost like calming and soothing and making the Empress louder
Yeah. Yes.
than the other,
Everything else.
chatter.
Yeah.
And it's a practice. It's a daily practice and moment to moment practice.
Yes.
So I think that, here's a fun question.
Yeah.
Because whenever I'm with a stylist or a professional artist, I want to know, and I always ask you, what creams are you using?
Yeah.
What's in your purse? What's in a beauty shaman's purse? Do you have your wand in the purse?
I actually have a wand on my desk. So it's from The Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. I think that's the title of it. The last Harry Potter
Yes,
sort of
I love
type.
that movie.
And my daughter owns a lot of wands. And so I say, can I please have, and this was the, not the queen, she's the president or whatever of the Wizarding Society of America.
Yes.
And so she's just this beautiful, beautiful
I'm the
dark-skinned
president
woman.
of that, by the way.
So that's her wand that I have. And whenever I have negative thoughts, I take it and I hit myself, and I'm like, okay,
You're like,
just the wand.
little bunny,
Yeah.
we're walking through the forest.
So I love having that wand. But I really love, there's a man here in Denver, actually, Ben Fuchs, who makes a skincare line called Truth Treatments that I'm really sold on. I really love this. And I've reviewed a few different skincare lines. I'm about to do another one.
That's part of what you do
That's
on
part of what I
YouTube.
do. I do a lot of reviews. Yeah. So but I love this because there's only 6 to 9 ingredients in each item, and all of them are active. So when you start using it, you really notice it's not full of fillers. Most products are about 50 ingredients, and 95% of it is shit. So I probably shouldn't say shit on this, but anyway, that's what they are. They don't really do anything. They make your skin feel nice, but they don't actually do anything. So his stuff does stuff, and I use the serum, Truth Serum, which is fabulous. And then I use the retinol, which is it's 5% retinol, which is super high quantity of retinol. Normally it's 0.1 or 0.5. I mean, very small amounts. You want to buy the higher quality. And I use that twice a week. And then I do, here's another thing called Truth Balm, which is a moisturizer. Yeah. Because it's Colorado and it's dry, I use a lot of moisturizer.
Sometimes I use, because I got that balm.
Right.
And sometimes I'll do it under my eyes.
Oh, it's amazing under your eyes. You don't even need eye cream. It's just the best stuff. Yeah. So I love his stuff. And I've been using it now for, I don't know, 6 to 8 months or something. Mm-hmm. And I'm in love with it. And I talk about it a lot on my YouTube channel. And then I also get facials every month. I always tell people that because I think facials make a big difference. And I'm 52, so as the older you get, you kind of want to think, okay, what's some proactive things I can do? And that's one of them. Is I get microdermabrasion every month. So
part of your self-care,
part of the self-care, yeah. And I love getting facials because I give to I'm always in people's crown chakra. I'm always giving to them, and so it's great to lie down and have somebody make me feel amazing. So yeah.
I love that. I love that the beauty shaman's perspective of doing somebody's makeup is you're all in their crown chakra, or they're in your crown. You're in each other. You're crowning each other.
I'm crowning each other. Yeah,
crown to crown.
Yeah.
So you've worked with famous people.
Yes.
I have to ask something juicy about some famous person. Who was the most surprisingly sweet, kind celebrity person you've ever done up.
Yeah, I worked with a lot of politicians because I was in D.C. And I was working for CNN and Fox. So, I mean, it was all politicians, basically, people in the political arena. So probably the most genuine person that I just really loved working with. There was two. One, John McCain, was just always genuine, always polite, knew me by my first. I made him up so many times. He'd walk in and go, Suzanne, how are you? And we would have this continuing conversation about our lives. And so was Bob and Elizabeth Dole. Like, they were just incredible. They were just very genuine. So I think those people amazed me because they were so in the public eye. Right. Not so much now, either one of them, but and they just treated me like I was, like a part of their entourage, a part of their party, so to speak. A lot of times people will sit in the makeup chair and they kind of turn off to you, because especially in that arena, because it's all power.
Yes.
Yeah, but I never felt that from them. I felt like they were just very happy to chat. So yeah, that was very cool.
Who has the best skin?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, guys don't tend to take as good a care of their skin, Elizabeth Dole takes really good care of herself. Like, she's amazing. She's got really got the self-care going, yeah. So she was just beautiful. She walked in so made up. I think I put a little powder on her, a little bit more blush or something.
It's like Barbra Streisand always did her own and does her own makeup.
Yeah. Yeah,
she does her own.
And I get it. Why? Because you don't know what that makeup artist is like and what they're going to do to you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Especially in a lot of these arenas that, some makeup people put tons on. I'm very minimalistic. So, but a lot of times talent want a lot. I've had people walk in with gobs and, hey, if that's what you want to look like, I'm here to respect and honor where you're at. But I don't do that. So,
well, even now with your work, I mean, you're working at this consciousness network. You were sharing in the story about how you've had to. Your whole perspective has changed.
Right.
Like, you get people ready for TV, but you really bring out the essence of who they are.
Right. And it's also a safe space. So when I walk into the makeup room, I clear it. So I close the door and I just do a mental clearing of it. So I fill it full of violet fire and just calm the atmosphere down, because people, right before they go on camera, they're nervous,
of course.
Right? They're so nervous.
Yeah.
And so I am their point of contact before they go on the camera, so that no producers, there's no executive producers, there's no content directors, there's no advertising, blah, blah. I mean, there's the whole slew of people that get behind this.
Yeah.
Nobody's there but me.
Yes.
And so I give them some tea or whatever they would like, and then we sort of sit down and I just love on them.
I need you in my life every morning. I need a beauty shaman every morning before I go out, because it's like that. It's like going out in the day. It feels like you're... especially with me, I mean, I have my own brand. I have a personality brand, a business.
Yeah.
I'm going out on stage every day.
Right.
That's how it feels. I might not be working a stage, but it's that kind of, presence.
Right.
And so.
Yes. And so having somebody there who just loves on you right before, it's huge. It's so huge. I mean, these people tell me all, it's like the hairdresser. You go and you start talking, and that's what they do. They just sort of but it's a safe place. I don't repeat stuff. I keep it really to myself, and I'm really, and then they also tell me if they have concerns. I can take care of that because I know all the players, So it's wonderful. I love doing that. It'll be hard to give up. I think if, as my YouTube channel gets bigger and bigger, I will have to make choices on what I devote my time to. But
yeah,
but I
You're
really
enjoying
enjoy
the ride right now.
I enjoy the ride. Yeah.
I think about that a lot. I'm like, I really like this sort of simple stage of things as I'm just getting started and rolling things out, Okay, here's the question as we wind things down.
Yes.
Tell me, let's imagine little Suzy walks in this room. She's checking out the disco light.
Yep.
She's checking out the scene. She's seeing you talking into this camera. What is she most excited about seeing her future self?
I think this little Suzy, more than anything else, and I think this is true for children, is they just want to just be happy and play. They just want to be happy and peaceful. And I think this is a really important point, because we're constantly looking for the next. And I'm as much into this, I've got the next 2 years mapped out in 6-month chunks, written out, and I edit it out because I'm like Miss Edit weirdo, constantly re-editing, to get, okay, this is what I want. So I'm very into that. But the more I especially watching my children grow up and seeing them, prepare for college, and I think, life is just going forward no matter what. And really what it's about is just being happy in this moment right now and being peaceful right now. Because little Suzy, that's what she wants. Like when I was in LA, she was like, I don't like this. I don't like being here. I don't like these kind of people that aren't being kind. And I don't want to do all this. What I want to do is I want to play, and I want to be happy, and I want to be peaceful. So when I come back, I thought, okay, we're going to do some happy, peaceful play time, with
Yes.
her. So I've worked the last 2 days, so I haven't had, there's been no play. But
This is your happy, peaceful
I
play
know,
time
it
now
is.
on the
It's
big blue
great.
couch.
Yes, that's right.
Thank you so much for being here. You are an inspiration to me, and it's an honor to share you. So grateful that people can get to know who you are. They can follow the Beauty Shaman on YouTube, and where else? What do they need to know? Where do you want to send them?
Facebook is the Beauty Shaman. That's my kind of key spot. Is
You have
my Facebook
private Facebook page or business page?
Business page.
Okay.
The Beauty Shaman, and my YouTube and then my website is thebeautyshaman.com.
Yes.
So you can go see all my blog posts, and you can watch the videos, or you can read about it, and then I have the different products that I'm promoting and that I believe in. So
And stay tuned for the
book.
release
Yes.
of the book by Suzanne Blons, titled most likely be what we said in the beginning.
What we said in the
which
beginning.
is the title.
Hold on, what did I write?
I know,
'Cause this
the most
is
recent.
the latest one. It's Taking Off the Mask, a
Yes.
journey through modeling, makeup, and mayhem. Or it'll be The Makeup Artist Must Die, Taking Off the Mask. So, we're going to...
Hello. I got
find out.
hallelujahs all over in my body when you said that one.
Okay, so maybe that's the direction
Talk
I need
to your
go.
agent about
I
this.
know, right? We're going to smack him around.
So thank you, darling, for being here.
thank you,
And
Tiffany.
thank you all for listening. So grateful to get the party started. This is episode 3. We're doing these every week. Keep coming by. You can comment below on what whooshed you, what inspired you, and where in your life do you want to channel that inspiration today? Is that your home? Is it your career? Is it your body? Is it your partnerships? I want to know. You can, like I said, comment below, or you can go to magiccarpetlife.com/the show and join the conversation there. And remember, there is a higher love at play, and it is always working for us. Our only job is to be conduits for this love, to keep the channel clear, be unique about it, and stay in joyful anticipation. Thanks so much for being here, and I'll see you next week on Magic Carpet Life. And remember, I'm going to sing and dance this part.